The Nintendo Switch is now 3 years old, and in these past 3 years we have gotten an abundance of Wii U ports. Games such as Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and Pokken Tournament have all been given a second chance on the Switch, where they have, for the most part, sold considerably better than their Wii U counterparts. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, a port of Wii U's Mario Kart 8, is even the best-selling game on this console by a considerable margin. Like, it's not even close. That game is selling phenomenally. However, as we enter this new year in the Switch's lifespan, there's really not a ton of games they can port over. Sure, there's one or two obvious ones, like, you know, I don't even need to say it. But overall, they're running out of Wii U games to put on the Switch. And even though it's a lot more difficult to port 3DS games, as in they literally haven't done it yet because it's just so weird and it's kind of a stupid concept, there are some really good 3DS games that I would love to see on the Switch. So that's what we're here to talk about today. What's up guys, it's Thomas from the Switched Up, and these are the 3DS games that I want to see ported to the Switch. Let's start off with the one I want to see the most, and honestly, one of the 3DS's most likely titles to even make the jump to the Switch. I'm talking about the 2012 masterpiece, Kid Icarus Uprising. Kid Icarus Uprising is a phenomenal game with a ridiculous amount of meat on its bones. Apart from its massive campaign, complete with a full difficulty slider, there's a legitimately super in-depth multiplayer component here too. On top of that, this game is probably one of Nintendo's most cinematic experiences ever, which is why it hurts so much that it's confined to the 3DS's small screen. On top of that, a twin-stick shooter on the 3DS just doesn't work, like, at all. Kid Icarus Uprising HD is something that so many people have asked for so long, as the game just does not deserve to be stranded on the 3DS. It deserves a full console release with HD graphics, a real control scheme, and maybe then it wouldn't take 30 minutes to queue into an online match. Going from one of the 3DS's most cinematic experiences to one of the most casual, Tomodachi Life is a life simulator game more in line with The Sims than Animal Crossing. You get to control pretty much everything on your island, and while that sounds like New Horizons, the games aren't really similar at all. In Animal Crossing New Horizons, your main goal is the island itself. You want to customize the island to your liking, whereas in Tomodachi Life, you gotta make sure that all the residents on this island are well fed. You gotta make sure they're happy, run various quests for them. It's just a really fun and quirky game from Nintendo's past, and it would also help kind of revive Mii's, because Nintendo really hasn't done anything with Mii's of, substance on the Switch. The next game I want to talk about is a game that's pretty much always been misunderstood. It had one of the most disliked reveal trailers in Nintendo's history, but trust me when I say it's not a bad game. Metroid Prime Federation Force just came out at the wrong time. Everyone was itching for a new Metroid game. Specifically, a return to the Metroid Prime series by Retro Studios. Retro had just put out Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze and had a bit of time to be working on a new project, so everyone was hoping and praying for some sort of Metroid Prime announcement. And then it came, and it was a 3DS spin-off game revealed through a online 3v3 sports mode. It's not hard to understand why Metroid Prime Federation Force got so much hate, but the game is very fun. I would be willing to say that this is one of the most in-depth experiences on the 3DS. Not only does controlling the mech feel great, but there's just so much stuff to do in this game. Not only do you have a fully fledged campaign that can be played in either multiplayer or single player, but there are various high score modes such as a shooting gallery or training against CPUs, the legitimately fun 3v3 mech soccer diversion that legit just feels like Rocket League, except if you switch out cars with giant robot mechs. Federation Force never got a fair shot because it was a 3DS Metroid Prime spin-off, but now that we're getting Metroid Prime 4 eventually, it deserves a second chance on the Switch. Funnily enough, Federation Force barely even used the touchscreen at all, and the textures are already very high quality for a 3DS game, so I think this one has a higher chance of being ported than people might think. It could be an interesting bonus to the Metroid Prime trilogy, when that eventually gets ported. Metroid Samus Returns is a remake of Metroid 2, and a very interesting title. Nintendo basically put this out and was like, yeah, if you ever want to see 2D Metroid again, buy this game. It's a pretty scummy business practice, but I'm pretty sure the game sold well enough to warrant multiple other games. So while Samus Returns itself probably won't get ported, and by probably I mean most definitely won't, we could see developer Mercury Steam remake a different 2D maybe Metroid, maybe Super Metroid for the Switch. Next up, this one is by far the game that I think is most likely to come to Switch. Detective Pikachu is obviously a super story-driven game. I'm able to say with confidence that it is the most story-driven Pokemon spin-off. But anyway, it would be weird to put the sequel on the Switch without the earlier game. And I'm also pretty confident in saying that Detective Pikachu is the best looking Nintendo 3DS game. Now, that's partially because it doesn't try and do anything crazy with its art style, but I mean, just look at this gameplay. Literally, all they would need to do to put this game on the Switch is give the bottom screen its own, like, menu, like maybe pressing X pulls up the bottom screen on, you know, the actual TV, and maybe redo, like, a texture here and there, but by just upscaling this game to 1080p, it would look phenomenal. I mean, the animations are all there. It would just look like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which would be perfectly acceptable as a 3DS port. Last but not least, I have to put this one in. I would not be able to sleep if I didn't. This one will most definitely never happen. Super Mario 3D Land. I would love to see this on Switch. Now, obviously, you can't really just port this game. It would have to come with Super Mario 3D World. Way back when the Switch was announced, I wanted a 3D World port, obviously all the way back then. However, I thought I knew how Nintendo was going to do it. I thought Nintendo would port over Super Mario 3D World, and maybe if we were lucky, we'd get an extra character like Yoshi to act as an easy mode. However, the main reason that Super Mario 3D World Deluxe was going to earn its Deluxe moniker was going to be that it had Captain Toad Treasure Tracker bundled in. Given that that game's just a spin-off of 3D World, it made sense to port the two as a combined package. However, Nintendo knew that they could sell Captain Toad as its own game and make a lot more money, so obviously they did that instead. However, 3D Land is a dead game. It's on a dead system, and I don't think anyone is really buying Super Mario 3D Land new from retail or digital now. Like, I don't think that's happening. And it's also not really the type of game you can port over on its own, so remaking various 3D Land levels or maybe even the whole game in Super Mario 3D World's engine, that would be awesome. It wouldn't be super hard because all the assets are already made. They wouldn't have to design any new levels, just zoom the camera out a bit to accommodate 4 players. It would work perfectly fine. However, that is by far the most unrealistic one. It's kind of a pipe dream. I can't say exactly why they won't do it. I just know, like, everyone with a brain knows that that probably won't happen. However, it would be awesome, so just let me wish for it. With that out of the way, those are the 3DS games I want to see ported to Switch. There's a ton more I could have talked about, and I also haven't played a ton of 3DS games, so let me know down in the comments below what games I was missing. Maybe I'll make a sequel to this video with all your guys' ideas. And thank you so much for the support on the channel, it means a lot. I'll talk to you all soon. I'm Thomas on the Switch Stop, signing off. Peace.